In today's Locked On Pelicans, I'll tell you why that was Dejounte Murray's most important game for the Pels. Plus, Trey Murphy seals the win and why Zion didn't play. It's the Thursday episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, the daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans and NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. Here with y'all on this Thursday, day after the Pelicans beat the Dallas Mavericks 119-116. That was a fun, close one, including a little bit of a controversial game-sealing block by Trey Murphy, but Dejounte Murray paced this team in the clutch, and that's super important. And I'll tell you why in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join over 11,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well and become an everydayer. That means you listen Monday through Friday to Locked On Pelicans. Let me know in the comments down below if you are an everydayer. And don't forget about the free daily newsletter for Locked On Pelicans. You can subscribe over at LockedOnDaily.com. So let's get into the win for New Orleans. This doesn't happen very often. So look, you might want them to tank, lose games, looking at Cooper Flag, but this was a really fun game, and winning is fun, and let's enjoy these moments in what's a very tough season. 119-116 over the Dallas Mavericks. And look, this was Dejounte Murray's most important game as a Pelican. You can look at the score and you can look at the numbers here, and they look really good. 30 points on 22 shot attempts, 4 of 10 from deep, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, just 2 turnovers. That's a really complete performance from him. We already want him to do well because at times he struggled, but he's starting to round into form here. But here's the thing. He was clutch in this game. And this game kind of validates the Pelicans trade for him in the first place. One of the things we learned about this team last year was they were not good in clutch situations. They did not win a game after trailing by double digits going into the fourth quarter. Couldn't complete comebacks, just couldn't put things together, couldn't close out games. Dejounte Murray for New Orleans closed this game out, and he and Klay Thompson at one point were going shot for shot. Klay getting hot late in this game, making me real worried that the Pelicans were going to lose. But Dejounte Murray closed out. He had 13 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter on 5 of 7 shooting, 1 assist. He made 2 threes during that stretch too. But it's not just that it was the fourth quarter scoring. Let's go to the final 5 minutes of the game. That's considered clutch situations. Game within 5 points, 5 minutes or less. Clutch situation. He had 10 points in the final 5 minutes. You wanted someone to carry this team when Zion Williamson was not playing. It was Dejounte Murray who stepped up and was like, all right, I'll do it. And he went out and he did. 10 points in the final 5 minutes. Dallas had 11. He almost outscored the Dallas Mavericks in the final 5 minutes here. You know, this team was bad in the clutch last year, and they brought in Murray to help with that. And Murray has struggled this year. He's really, really struggled this year. But this was a game where you look at him and the shot making that he had and you go, oh yeah. You know, you're worried about how the trade maybe looks with the Atlanta Hawks. Dyson Daniels playing really well this season. But this was the game that you go, yeah, we don't know if Atlanta won that trade just yet. Murray coming in and helping get a win. And look, Dallas was injured too. There's no Luka Doncic, no Kyrie Irving, no Derek Lively II. But look, the Pels are still missing Zion here. Brandon Ingram as well, Herb Jones. It was somewhat even if the Pelicans had maybe the best players on the court. For Murray to come in and just step up and take over the game when need be, he was hitting everything. Mid-range jumpers, getting to the rim, three-pointers down the stretch. That's the type of performance from him that New Orleans envisioned all season long. And while his season got off to a weird start with that broken hand and him not playing as well as we would like, you're starting to see him round into form. So beyond just helping the team win, what I thought was important about this was he looked good without Zion Williamson. His best games have come when Zion plays. He was brought in to stabilize this offense a little bit, to pull the strings, to be the point guard, keep them organized late in game situations, ideally, which he did here. But he hadn't been doing that. And when Zion started playing again, he started to look better. And you go, okay, like that's great. And so sure, look good next to Zion Williamson. We like that. But it's also a little bit concerning that he was really struggling without Zion, because if you brought him in to kind of play the role that we saw him play in this game, you need to do it without Zion Williamson too. If it's just fit around Zion is the goal here, you do that with a lot of other players that don't cost you some of the assets that New Orleans gave up to go get Murray. So him playing well without Zion, I think, is a really good step forward for his, not development, he is who he is as a player, but continued success with this team. And while that success won't happen this year, we don't really want it to happen this year at this point, he's going to be on the team next year. Zion's going to be on the team next year too. So getting Murray to kind of figure out some of the kinks, get some confidence back, is going to be a really important thing. And you can tell he has found his confidence again, much more confidence in his shot. He had taken a lot of pull-up threes, wasn't making them, wasn't looking good there. Zion comes back. He's taking more catch-and-shoot threes and making those at a much higher rate. And that seems to have just given him some confidence. Maybe just seeing some shots go in has led him to feeling that three-point shot attempt a whole lot more. When you look at his best three-point shooting games this season, this game was 40% here. You're starting to see that. What I also love about it is when we think about Zion Williamson and how he's the focal point and what you need to put around him, Murray is taking even more threes. That's really important. Against Chicago, he shot 36%. Against Boston, 6 of 9. The past it's 5 games now, he shot at least 40% from three, almost 40%, other than one game, against the game against Chicago, when he still made 4, and that's a pretty good number. Overall, he's playing his best basketball yet this season. And now when Zion's going to be coming back, and more about Zion not playing in this game in the third segment of today's show, when Zion does play along him and you get a better version of Dejounte Murray, this team's going to win some games. You're going to see the talent that they have, that you're starting to see as they've gotten a little bit more healthy. They start to look much more competitive. And you're like, wait, this isn't, a 9-win team now? And that I do think is an encouraging thing. This was their 10th win of the season. I'll take it. Coming up next, Trey Murphy. Dejounte Murray might have paced him in the fourth quarter, but Trey Murphy was the hero right at the end with a game-winning block. Game-winning goaltend? We don't need to talk about that part, just a little bit. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. Saints aren't in the NFL postseason here. You want to have some fun, make these games more interesting. $5 bet can net you $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. If you took the Pelicans, they were underdogs in this game, plus 2.5. You put $5 down on that, you'd win that bet, and you'd have an additional $300. I love that the app is super easy to use. There's a variety of different bets. That means you can find what you're looking for out there. And when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winning. So whether you're betting on the Pelicans or the Saints, or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. So just visit FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is also brought to you by Skims. I'm a huge fan of this. And when I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was really intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends, family. My fiance loves it. I had to give it a try. And look, I travel a lot. I'm on planes a lot. You need something to be comfortable, breathable. If it's handling a 4 or 5 hour plane flight, I'm a big fan of it, and Skims has definitely done that. Look, you can have a lot of issues with underwear, finding fit, comfort, just the right style. Skims changed all of that. Their men's line has something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. So I love the boxer brief right there, and I'm hooked. I've ordered a bunch of them. This is now all that I'm wearing. I've got a pair on right now. I'm up, I'm moving a lot, walking around, going from games to work to the airport, whatever it might be. They never lose their shape. They stay in place all day. Whether you're working out or running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear that I've ever owned. I like the lightweight material too. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Trust me, you got to give these a try. They're really great. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join over 11,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well and become an everydayer. That means you listen Monday through Friday to Locked On Pelicans. Let me know if you are in the comments down below. And don't forget about the Locked On Pelicans daily newsletter, completely free, one-stop shop for ultimate team and league coverage. You have some really great national writers in there that are giving you insight into the league that you can't get anywhere else, and it's all delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Pelicans newsletter. So let's keep talking about the Pelicans getting their 10th win of the season over the Dallas Mavericks, 119-116. It was a little close towards the end. Jordan Hawkins had the ball, Pelicans up, and all of a sudden he turns the ball over. Dallas races down in transition and starts to look like they're going to get a layup. And then you get Trey Murphy rising up, blocking the shot, securing the rebound off of that, getting fouled, going to the line, icing the game, and that was it. So if you go to Locked On Mavs right now, I guarantee you what I haven't checked the show. What they probably are leading with is that was a goaltend and the refs missed it. And how can that be a thing? And you know what? They're correct. It was a goaltend. I don't care. I don't care because Trey Murphy in this game was good defensively. We just spent an episode talking about him on offense and the things that he did. And he was good on offense in this game too because he's a very good player. 24 points on 18 shot attempts. Those are good numbers. 10 rebounds, 4 assists. But here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a couple more stats here. A steal and 3 blocks, including one that was a goaltend. So 2 blocks, let's say. Those are still really good defensive numbers. 3, if you take away the one at the very end, stocks, steals plus blocks, is a good number. And Trey, as we know, is an offensive player, but you're seeing growth on the defensive side of the ball too. And I think that is something that we need to talk about. So yeah, might have been goaltending. Don't care, because the larger point of him being better on defense is there. And you saw it in this, being in position to make that kind of play, the hustle back. Here's the thing. He was the #1 option on offense for much of the night till you really saw Murray get going in the fourth quarter. You know, go back to the Drew Holiday era time here in New Orleans. And when you have guys that are good defensively, they can often struggle on offense because, hey, they're using their energy on defense. Energy is a finite thing. There's only so much bandwidth when it comes to that, right? So you tend to be better on one side than the other. And Drew Holiday, when he was giving a lot of effort on offense, wasn't as good defensively. When he was giving it all on defense, at times he would struggle to shoot, things like that. It can be tough to find that balance. So for Trey to play well defensively while being the #1 or 2 option for this Pelicans team is a really good sign for his growth. We talked about the leap that he's taking, and you saw it offensively in this game, finishing through contact, getting fouled, going to the line, all of those things. He took 8 free throws in this game, which is a tremendous number. It was perfect the other night. Was he perfect in this one? He was. So he's on now, I can tell you the number off the top of my head, 51 straight made free throws here. It's the longest in Pelicans team history. He's getting to the line, finishing through contact, has a mid-range game, has the three-point shooting, has the dunks, has the layup package, all of that. The rebounding, you're seeing a little bit better from him than in years past. You're seeing growth in literally every facet of his game, and it culminated with, look, it's in the box score, it's in the stat sheet as a game-winning block. He's posting right now the highest block percentage of his career, the second highest steal percentage of his career, and he's doing all of this while having by far the highest usage rate of his career. To see what he's doing on offense and then having that carry over defensively too, I think is a very good sign for him being a 1 or 2 like number guy on your team. It's one thing to just be an offensive player. We see plenty of guys like that. But to be a two-way guy like he's doing right now, or starting to turn into, he's not there yet, I think that's safe to say, is a really encouraging sign. He spent time with Jason Tatum's trainer over the offseason in Los Angeles. And look, Tatum's a two-way force in the league. That's a guy that is regularly making all NBA teams, considered, a dark horse for MVP and maybe defensive player of the year, but he's making those all NBA teams because of the offense and defense and the well-rounded aspect of his game. And you're seeing the same thing from Trey Murphy. Right now, he's posting a career high assist percentage. His rebounding numbers are right around his career numbers there. They're trending upwards over the past couple of games, which I find to be really good too. So now you have a 3-level score, a guy that's minimum average on defense, and he's moving the ball more, and he's doing it with a higher usage rate. So he's using up more possessions, thus more energy, right? You often see numbers dip. There can definitely be a spot where this guy is a 20-minute per game player. The more you give him, the less production you see, right? You hit that point where it really starts to fall off or there's diminishing returns. Same thing with usage rate too. Teams monitor this throughout the course of a game to make sure that you are getting the best version of that player out there on the court. Trey is thriving while having to take on more responsibility. I can't tell you how encouraging that is to see. There's a reason they rewarded him with that massive contract that shows they believe in him. Look, Brandon Ingram is basically being pushed out of the door because of that contract extension for Trey Murphy. That's how much the Pelicans believe in what Trey can do. And you've seen the growth on offense, but in this game against Dallas, and again, no Luka, no Kyrie, he was guarding Klay Thompson in clutch time. He was on Klay to try and stop Klay, and while Klay was getting going for a point, he started missing shots too. And a lot of that had to do with the defense from Trey Murphy. So he was been fantastic for New Orleans in this one, limiting Klay Thompson a little bit late. That's the type of player that you want on this team. A two-way guy that fits around Zion Williamson really well, and then when Zion feels like inevitably misses time, can really take up a lot of that scoring ability and maybe be your number one guy here. And Trey, so far, seems to be up to the challenge. And we got a slow start to this year, coming back from the hamstring injury and things like that. Same thing with last year with the meniscus injury too. But when he gets going, y'all, you can see it. That extra strength that he's at, really just the muscle that he's put on to make him finish better through contact, finish at the rim better too, is really paying off on the defensive side of the ball. He had not been good defensively previously, in my opinion, here in New Orleans prior to this season, and now you're really starting to see it. His growth was good, and I think this kind of game-winning block, we'll put it in air quotes there, is still the culmination of a lot of the work that he's done, and yeah, it's a fun game. That was a really cool play. Seeing him flex after seeing the team just mob him after the fact too. Not only did he get the block, but he got the board, drew the foul. Those are the type of plays that win you games, and it won the Pelicans this one because they needed it without Zion Williamson. But Zion played the other night. They've been managing his minutes well. Why didn't he play in this game? Should he have played in this game? Let's answer that question, or at least look at it, coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%, plus you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this Pelicans team. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join over 11,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. And for your second listen, Locked On Saints. There's going to be a new head coach. Is the interest in Mike McCarthy cooling? Are they going to get Aaron Glenn, or is he going to go to the New York Jets? Ross Jackson of Locked On Saints making sense of everything when it comes to the black and gold here. Make Locked On Saints your second listen today. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, let's talk about the guy that wasn't there, and that's Zion Williamson. Not playing on the second night of a back-to-back, and I think a lot of fans were really frustrated by this. There's a few reasons for it. One, if the team knows he's not going to play on a back-to-back, why play him in Chicago and not just play him in New Orleans where, the hometown fans can see him? And I think there's something valid to be said for that. Zion Williamson also played under 24 minutes in Tuesday's game, the win, by the way, over the Chicago Bulls. He played well too. We talked about it the Everydayers know in the other day's show. So if he's playing so few minutes, and since he's come back from injury, they are doing a really good job, in my opinion, of managing his minutes, trying to make sure that he stays out there on the court. Could he have played? Could they have managed it better, potentially? Why is he just being lazy and taking games off? What's kind of happening here? I wanted to dive into this a little bit and maybe clear up one or two misconceptions. Since he's come back from injury, by the way, he has not played in... Let me see. In back-to-back games, he has not done that. But he also hasn't played over 30 minutes. So they're keeping his minutes low. So his legs should be fresher, right? So he should have been able to play in this game against the Dallas Mavericks, and maybe this game wouldn't have been as close, and New Orleans could have run away with this one, and I think they would have had Zion played. So here's the thing with that. It's not about having fresh legs or having low minutes. That's not what this is about whatsoever. This is about recovery. It's not about, are you tired or not? It has nothing to do with that. It has to just do with your body recovering from the physical exertion that you put it through. Now, you might be saying, Jake, he's a professional athlete. He should be in fine shape to do it. He looks like he's in shape. He's very clearly in shape, and I agree. It has nothing to do with being in shape. It has to do with recovery. Think about it like this. I'll use my example here, and I'm not a professional athlete, so keep that in mind too, and neither are you, and this is going to apply to you as well. I took like 3 months off from working out. 3 months off, just life was busy, doing some cross-country stuff. The holidays are around. Just got back into it this week on Monday. Back into the gym, working out. I am unbelievably sore. Moving my arms like this right now, just that, really, really hurts. It's a couple days later from that workout. If I were to go work out today when I would normally go back to one of my days, I would probably hurt myself. I don't have the strength there to do it. If I tried to do, a bench press or something like that right now, that bar is going to fall. It's probably going to hurt me. My body needs to recover and heal and kind of get back into the swing of things a little bit more. It's not that I'm not capable of doing those things. It's my form might change. I might hurt myself, and then I'm going to be out longer. You see where I'm going with this. It's about Zion recovering. Just put his body through a lot. Let's make sure that he's healed and that you don't run him out there too quickly, and that something happens because maybe he's overcompensating because he's sore somewhere or what have you. Now, will he get to a point, hopefully, where he is playing back-to-back because other guys are doing it, right? Absolutely. But Zion also missed, nearly 2 months of action here. And whether you believe in Zion as a future piece or you want him traded, the same thing applies here because you want him playing. You want him healthy. If you want to build around him going forward, you still believe in Zion, you want him healthy. So taking this game off in a season where it doesn't matter. Wins and losses don't matter at this point for New Orleans. Taking that time off to making sure that he's good to go forward is an important thing. If you want him traded, you're not going to be able to trade him if he's injured. His value's already pretty low. So if he needs to miss a game so that he can come back and be the best version of him right now, yeah, that I think is a fine thing to do. Willie Green before the game said it was a team decision. That's going to be the front office, the coaching staff, the player performance and care team, which kind of compromises the medical team too. I can tell you Zion wants to play. We know this. Zion's been out for seasons before. In that playoff series against the Suns, you saw him wanting to play, lobbying to play when they were never going to let him play, and he shouldn't have played. He wants to play. This is not him being lazy, in my opinion. There are moments when he is lazy. We call him out for that. But this is not one of them. He probably wants to play. This is them thinking long-term with him, next season with him. If he gets another hamstring injury and can't play basketball for 2 months over the summer, he's not going to be in shape going into the season. And we definitely want that. Now, he might not be in shape going into the season anyway because it's Zion and there's immaturity issues there. But at least that's not due to injury. And so him not playing the second night of back-to-back is about recovery. It's not about being in shape or laziness or anything like that. It's them being like, your muscles might take a minute to heal because you're getting back into it. I'm super sore right now. Once I kind of work through all of this, keep recovering, building back up some of the muscle and stuff like that, I'll be able to work out back-to-back days or do my normal routine, and you won't be as sore and you'll be fine, right? That's how it goes. You get to that point, but it takes a second to get to that point. So that's, I think, what you're seeing with Zion Williamson here and why he's not playing in back-to-back games at the moment. If he doesn't play back-to-back games at the end of the season, that might be a bigger concern here. And I wouldn't like that. But I think right now, given that he's only played 3 games since coming back from a month off, I think that's fine. And when you look at this team, they look significantly different, not just with him on the court. They obviously look very, very different, almost beating Boston, with Zion Williamson out there on the court. But there's a different feeling of him just being healthy. He's healthy. We can say that. Just because he missed this game is, return to recovery, whatever it is, load management, all that stuff. He's healthy. And that's definitely given this team a boost. You see a different energy from this group of guys right now because of Zion Williamson being healthy. Simple as that. Then keep him healthy, and this is what the team's trying to do. It might suck. The whole season's kind of unfun right now, but they're starting to play better basketball. The worst thing that we could see happen right now is, hey, Zion's going to be out for a couple more weeks because of a new injury, because he didn't have time to recover like he probably needed to. So that's why you're not seeing him play in back-to-backs. Do you agree with that decision? Do you disagree with that decision that the team is making? Let me know in the comments down below on YouTube. And that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Pelicans. As always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. This has been the Locked On Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'll be back with y'all tomorrow.